Lesson 3.2c, add and subtract unlike fractions. So yesterday we added and subtracted fractions that had common denominators already. Today we are adding and subtracting fractions that do not have like denominators. So to do that, we have to rename the fractions using the least common denominator. And after we do that, once you rename with the least common denominator, then we're back to fractions like we talked about yesterday. You add or subtract the numerators. Always make sure that you simplify. That's really important that you simplify your final answer. Alright, let's look at some of the examples that are here. You guys are supposed to write the odd ones down, so we're going to talk about these. We're going to start with number 1. 1/2 plus 3/4. So to find the least common denominator, I highly recommend you taking the largest denominator, which is 4, and you ask yourself, does 2 go into 4 evenly? And it does. So my common denominator for both of these are rewriting those over 4. Now, the thing about this is the 3/4, it's already over 4, so that won't change a thing. That's going to stay 3/4. Now, the 1/2, 2 times 2 is 4, so you've got to multiply that numerator by the same thing. So 1 times 2 is 2. I want you guys to go ahead and write this beside it, what you're multiplying by, so it kind of helps you keep track. Whatever you multiply that denominator by, you multiply the numerator by the same thing. Now we're ready to combine these. So 2/4 plus 3/4. The denominator is 4 because it stays the same. 2 plus 3 is 5. That is not simplest form. That is an improper fraction. So definitely you should be taking 5, dividing by 4. 4 goes into 5 one full time. That makes it the whole part of the mixed number. And 1 times 4 is 4. There's a remainder of 1. So that leaves my fractional part 1/4. So 5/4 simplifies to 1 1/4. Therefore, 1/2 plus 3/4 is 1 1/4. Looking on to number 3, 7/15 plus -5/6. I see double signs right in the middle. We don't deal with those. So I have to rewrite this problem 7/15. Since these are different, we make it minus 5/6. I got to find a common denominator. I look to my largest denominator, 15. 6 does not go into 15 evenly. So I take 15 times 2, which is 30, and 6 does go into 30. So we're going to rewrite both of these fractions with a denominator of 30. Now remember, beside the fractions, I want you to write what we're multiplying top and bottom by. That will help you keep track. 15 times 2 is 30, so 7 times 2 makes this 14. 6 times 5 is 30, so 5 times 5 is 25. Now I've got them rewritten with the same denominator. To go ahead and combine these, we're going to have the denominator of 30, 14, and I have 14, I'm losing 25, so I'm definitely going to end up in the hole, and 14 and I'm losing 25, that would make it -11/30. -11/30, and that is completely simplified. Alright, so we have finished with -11/30. I'm going to erase some of this so that I can move on to number 5. Number 5. 5/9 plus -5/12. Again, double sign in the middle. We don't deal with that. So you need to rewrite the problem right off the bat. So I'm going to put 5/9 minus 5/12. I start with my largest denominator, 12. 9 does not go into 12 evenly. 12 times 2, 24. 9 doesn't go into 24 evenly. 12 times 3, 36. There we go. 9 goes into 36. So I'm going to rewrite both of these over 36. So 9 times 4 is 36. So I've got to take 5 times 4. Make sure you show that on your homework. 5 times 4 is 20. 12 times 3 is 36. So I must take 5 times 3, which is 15. I have 20/36 minus 15/36. My final answer is definitely going to have 36 as the denominator. And I have 20 and I'm losing 15. That would be 5/36. And that is a simplified answer. All right, now remember, whatever you multiply that denominator by, you must also multiply the numerator. So 9 times 4, then 5 times 4. That gets you 20. All right, we're going to move on to number 7. 7/8 minus negative 1/3. Double sign. Since they're the same, this becomes 7/8 plus 1/3. So that part isn't new. Rewriting them with one sign, if they're the same signs in that double sign, it becomes a plus. If they're different, it becomes a minus. This one, we're going to make 7/8 plus 1/3. Starting with my largest denominator, 8. 3 does not go into 8 evenly. So I go 8 times 2, which is 16. 3 does not go into 16 evenly. And then that leads me to 8 times 3. Well, when you get to the point where you're multiplying the two denominators together, that's definitely the common denominator. But please don't start at that position, because that won't lead you to the smallest one in some cases. This one, there's no choice. You have to multiply the two together. It took 8 times 3 to get to 24. So now we're going to do 7 times 3, which is 21. 3 times 8 is 24. So 1 times 8 is 8. So 21/24 plus 8/24. Okay, we're ready to combine these. My common denominator is 24. 21 plus 8 would be 29. That definitely is not a simplified answer. So I'm going to have to take 29, divide 24. It goes one full time. That means that's my whole part. So 1 times 24 and subtract, there's 5 left over. So 5/24. 1 and 5/24 is a good simplified answer. We're going to kind of switch it up and go over to some of these over here on the right, because I know you didn't have to write them down, but we want you to add them in. 3/8 minus 1/2. 8 is my largest denominator, and it just so happens 2 goes into that, so I know both of these are going to have a denominator of 8. And the good news is, when one of them is already over that denominator, I don't have to do anything to it. It stays 3/8. 2 times 4, however, is 8. So I've got to take 1 times 4, which is 4. Okay, so my denominator is 8. I have 3, and I'm losing 4. I have $3, but I owe 4, so I'm still $1 in the hole. So negative 1/8. We'll do one more here, and then I need to show you something else. So we're going to go 2/5 minus 1/3. 5 is my largest denominator. 3 does not go into 5 evenly. So 5 times 2 is 10. 3 doesn't go into 10 evenly. 5 times 3, there we go. We've got the 2 multiplied together for sure. That will be my common denominator. So 15. And I'm going to multiply. 5 times 3 gave me 15, so I've got to take 2 times 3 as well, making it 6. 3 times 5 is 15, so 1 times 5 is 5. My denominator in my answer is going to remain 15, and I have 6 and I lose 5, just 1/15. All right, I do need to show you one more thing using a whole number. So we're going to take 4 and we're going to subtract 1/4. Now there's other ways to do this, and we'll talk more about this tomorrow, but for today, since we're making them all fractions, I want you to make 4 whole a fraction, and you do that by putting it over a 1. 4 is the same as 4 over 1. Now when you look at your two denominators, I've got a 1 and I've got a 4. The largest is 4, and yeah, 1 goes into 4. We're going to rewrite these both over 4. The 1/4 definitely stays the same. 1 times 4 is 4, and 4 times 4 is 16. This time I'm going to leave my denominator 4, and 16 minus 1 is 15. 15/4 is not simplified, so I must take 15 divided by 4. 4 goes in there 3 full times, so that is the whole part, 3. That being 12, there's 3 left, 3 and 3/4, and that is a good simplified answer, 3 and 3/4. Make sure you rewrite these with a common denominator, add or subtract the numerators, and simplify your answer.